You're walking around going about your day to day and you see a really attractive woman. Now, even though you're excited and you legitimately want to talk to her, you start making all these excuses. You start getting really in your head. You start overanalyzing the whole situation. Which way is she walking? How busy is she? Who she's with? And all of these different factors and calculations start to get you even more in your head, and you end up doing nothing. But the reality is that when it comes to opening and approaching women, there's only a few small things that you need to know when it comes to each specific situation. And so what I want to do is show you guys all the different ways that you should approach depending on the situation. So that way you could stop getting in your head so much, and instead, the next time that woman passes by, you actually have the confidence and certainty to go up, start that interaction, and land a date. Let's go. And so the first situation that I want to discuss is when you're out and about walking and you actually see the girl coming towards you. So you're actually walking towards each other face on. And the mistake that I see men make with this one is that they actually wait until they are too close to the girl to then open. And I think naturally that's what most men would think. Like, that's actually what my thought process was initially too, was you need to wait till they get close in order to say something. But understand that each person, when they're walking, they have momentum going in the direction that they're walking. And most people, when they're out and about, they're not just gonna stop instantly on a dime and just turn to you and be very receptive to talking to you. That's actually not how it works. Most people, number one, they don't even think you're talking to them initially. And so they're kind of still in their bubble. And then even when you do get their attention, they won't just stop on a dime. They're gonna slowly start to slow down as they look at you and they assess the situation. And then they will then come to a stop, assuming that you're non-threatening, and then they will have an interaction with you. So now that you understand this process, the last thing you would want to do is wait until you're too close, because that momentum is going to bring the person beyond where you were, at which point you're looking back trying to stop them still. And now it creates this really weird dynamic where they're walking away and I'm in a position where I'm still trying to stop them. Or what's even worse is I then have to pivot back and then walk back up towards them. And I'm already in this position of, like, I guess you could say chasing, right? Where they were kind of walking away, but now they're not walking away. And don't get me wrong, you can still fix that situation, but why put yourself into that situation when you could just do it properly from the beginning? And by the way, you do not wait until you make eye contact with the woman, because most women, they either won't make eye contact with you at all. Like, I actually do not get a lot of eye contact from women in my day-to-day walking around. There's not just girls staring at me, right? Most women will not make eye contact with you. That doesn't mean they're not open to having a conversation if you open them properly. So don't wait for eye contact, and instead you need to, at a very far distance, you need to start slowing your walk, and you need to start saying something out loud. So you speak loud at a very safe distance with a very big smile, because the moment she looks up or looks at you, you need to already be planted and smiling and getting her attention. Otherwise, when they look at you, they're going to start to scan you and assess. And really what's going to happen is, as they get closer, they're not committed to stopping. But if they see that you're already stopped, you got their attention from a very safe distance, they can slow down their walk while assessing you and still come to a stop and still have room. Now we are in a great position to run an interaction. Now, what happens if she's getting too close and the moment I recognize it, it's already too close? Well, then you simply just let her go by. You do not want to pop out and open at a too close of a distance, because it just triggers a fight or flight response where they're gonna naturally just eject and go around you. And that's the last thing you want here. So even if you guys make eye contact or whatever and she's too close, or you were just hesitant and you didn't do it, let her go by. Which brings me into the next point, because I would actually say the majority of the time, the girl is not gonna be walking towards you head on. Majority of the time, she's either going in a completely different direction from you, or she's already ahead of you, or even if she was going towards you, you just didn't have enough time, there wasn't enough distance, you'd have to pop out, and so you let her go by. And now we go into opening from the side, right? And so I'll show you guys a variety of different clips of me doing this. Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Hey, excuse me. Sorry, I'm not selling you anything like he is. Hey, excuse me. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, you speak English? Now, when I first started learning how to go up and approach back in 2014, there was a very common technique called the UK or the London stop, which essentially meant the girl was walking, and instead of opening from the side, you would run all the way in front of her and then jump in front of her and then get her to stop because you're completely in front of her. And I'm not saying that this can't work. It actually can work. There's so many guys that have done this, and I even did it like years ago, effectively sometimes, but I just think it's a little intrusive, and it's, I guess you could say, outdated for lack of a better word. I just think there's a better position that you could be in, which is from the side, that doesn't control the girl to stop. I think that's the reason why maybe it was effective, but I do think that you could come in from the side and still get the girl to stop, and you're not completely blocking her from going about her day. That's kind of a weird positioning from my experience. Again, it can work. I just think there's a better way to do it, so why not do the more effective route? So when it comes from opening from the side, what you don't want to do is be parallel to her, because remember what I was saying in the previous point about momentum going in directions when you're stopping someone. Now, if the girl's walking this way and you come up and are parallel when you try to stop her, she's still going to creep up a little bit more. And so it's still this dynamic where I try to stop her and now she's up ahead and the girl's looking over her shoulder to talk to you, which is just not ideal. So what you want to do is you actually come in from the side. Before you commit to trying to stop her, you are actually slightly ahead of her. And so by being slightly ahead of her, you'll also be more in her peripheral. So she sees you at a safe distance because you went in wide enough. You weren't right in front of her. You're actually off to the side at a safe distance and slightly ahead of her, smiling. So that allows her time to slow down. And by the time she actually stops, now she's parallel with you. And that is the perfect position you want to be in. You want to get her to stop in a way where she didn't feel forced to. She felt safe. She saw you at a safe distance, looking confident and smiling, and you got her attention. And now by the time she stops, we're actually just parallel. Or maybe she even stopped really quickly and you're still slightly ahead of her, which is perfect positioning that you want to be in. Now, whether you're opening from the side or if the girl's head on, it doesn't matter which one. All of these opens are essentially still the same. The only thing that changes is the positioning and the way that you're going about getting to the open. So you get her attention by saying, hey, excuse me. Then you go into, I actually just saw you walking by. And then you get into displaying at least a little bit of interest or intent, which would be, I really like your style. I thought you had an interesting look. I thought you looked really cute. I just wanted to come meet you really quick. Any one of those can work. Pick whatever phrase is more aligned with your personality or whatever you're comfortable with, and I would just start with that. From there, you could then elaborate on what you noticed about the girl, and from there you could actually get into a full-blown conversation. I would say I'm personally most comfortable with opening from the side just because I've done that the most situationally. I think there's been the most opportunity for me to do that. If it makes sense and the girl's head on, you could do that. If she goes by, it's all good. Just go back and still open her. And then I've also even opened from behind, which honestly, it's not ideal, but there are times where the girl's ahead of you and you just can't get into the right position. And so you're faced with two options. It's either you don't open at all because it's not ideal situation, or you just accept the fact that, hey, I'm going to open from behind and it's not ideal, but I'm going to make the best of it because it doesn't need to be perfect, all right? And I've still ran interactions properly, opening from behind, that actually converted into phone numbers and dates. So it's not that you can't do one or the other. I'm just showing you the proper technicalities around these and how these could actually lead to dates, because that's how you're going to convert the most consistently. And also, you get confidence when you understand the technicalities around this. When you don't understand any of this and you're just blindly going about it, there's a lot of uncertainty, and that leads to lack of confidence. And for me, I derived a lot of my confidence by understanding all of it and mastering the technicalities. That actually led to more confidence when I was going out and approaching. And that's why I'm explaining all of this for you guys. Now, I still got a couple that I want to get into around her being on the phone or being busy or opening indirect as well. So there's still quite a bit of stuff I want to cover, but really quickly, guys, if you want to get better with this, if you want to really build your social confidence and have the abundant dating life that you've always wanted, click the link down below and apply to work with me directly. Summer's right around the corner. It's prime time to make a transformation. I'd love to help you do that. More details on that at the end of the video. Let's get into the next one, which is what to do when the girl is doing something. She's either talking on the phone, maybe she's on a laptop sitting down somewhere doing work. She's doing some sort of activity, you could say, or she's somewhat busy, right? Doing something. How do we go up and make that approach? Now, I personally have a slightly different structure to these types of approaches, and rightfully so, because it's not just the girl's casually walking alone doing nothing. She's clearly doing something. And so for that reason, we approach in a slightly different dynamic. Because if you were just busy and you were genuinely working and somebody came up to you and just kind of like started intruding themselves, there's a chance that you might actually get kind of like annoyed off of that. And part of approaching and being able to develop this skill set and have confidence around this stuff, you should be somebody who isn't actually pissing off people consistently. And I could say that with confidence. I could go out and approach 100 women. I could probably go 100 for 100. Nobody would actually get pissed off. I would get very, very minimal negative reactions. I'm sure there'd be a decent amount of girls that either don't stop or don't actually have a conversation with, or don't want to conversate with me. But it's very rare I'm going to get really bad negative reactions. And that's because I have a very calculated approach. And because of that, I'm very confident going up and talking to pretty much anybody. Now, when it comes to not interrupting or intruding, I'm not saying to not approach these women. I just think what you should do though is not go totally squared up in their face because they're doing something, right? So if you see that the girl's on the phone or she's actually on her laptop, I would actually recommend opening from the side. Your body language is actually off to the side. This is me opening, I guess you could say over the shoulder or from the side, because the girl was either sitting at a bar having a meal, or she was on the phone talking to somebody, or she was sitting down and like she was doing something. I always start these interactions over the shoulder. That's not because I'm a pussy. I can open whoever I want. I could square up with whoever I want if I wanted to be uncalibrated or over entitled. I'd much rather just do this in a calculated way that isn't so intrusive. It lowers the criteria for the response from the girl. And then based off of the response, I can then carry the conversation, and then I can slowly work my way in with my body language, right? So I actually recommend opening off to the side. You don't need to say, hey, you're really cute, I wanted to come meet you, how's your day going? Instead, I would lower the criteria down to the point where I'm just trying to say this one thing. I will then get a response from that one thing, and then I can work off of that. And so what you could do is you could say, hey, excuse me, I actually have to get going, but I just wanted to say really quickly, and then you say your thing. Or you could say, hey, excuse me, I was actually headed that way, but I just wanted to say really quickly, and then you say the thing. Or you could say, hey, excuse me, really quickly, I just wanted to say blank thing. So each one of those has a slightly different feel to it depending on the situation. Some of them are more of a time constraint than others, but all of these convey that you're just trying to say this thing. And so it lowers the guard. And even if the girl is doing something busy, she'll at least hear you out for that thing. And typically what will happen is she's gonna say, thank you, it's really sweet, but I'm actually in the middle of something like right now. Or what will also happen a lot of the time is they're not that busy, even if they're on the phone, even if they're on the laptop, and they'll say something like, thank you, at which point you could then extend the interaction and then you could take it further. Okay, so you can open from the side, you could lower the criteria for the open. If the girl genuinely seems busy or it looks like she's doing something, then you get a response from her. Then you can pivot your body language a little bit more squared up towards her, and you can work your way into an interaction that way. And worst case scenario, she's genuinely busy, in which case it's all good because you opened by just saying you were gonna say the thing. And if you guys are wondering, even though you said, hey, I actually have to get going, or I was headed that way, or can I just say really quickly, it doesn't matter. You can keep a conversation going. The girl's not gonna say anything about that. I'll show you guys a couple different instances of me literally opening with that, opening over the shoulder, then pivoting and running a 5 to 10 to 15 minute interaction. And the girl never brings those things up, and it goes to dates. Those go to phone numbers, that goes to dates because I run the structure of the interaction properly. Excuse me. Hi. No, I just want to say, yeah, I just want to say really quickly, I thought you looked cute with the all white.
Oh, thank you. It's my W.
Let's get into the next one, which is a situational opener, or you have an indirect open. Now, if you're out at a store, or you're in a classroom, or you're at the gym, or there's something going on in the environment where you can just make a comment about something or ask the girl a question, or we're already in a conversation and you don't need to display intent or show interest off of the initial open, great. Now we're in the conversation. All right, so we're talking and it's indirect. The mistake that men make in this one is they just have a very bland, indirect conversation the entire time, and at the end of it, they like ask for a phone number, and it's just this weird transition. Or maybe you don't even actually go for the phone number because it would be so abrupt of a transition. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with opening indirect. I'd actually prefer to be in an indirect conversation if it makes sense. I don't want to stop a girl who's walking down the street and say, hey, excuse me, like, what do you think of the weather today? That's pretty weird. You would need to get to the point in that sense. But if we were in a class together, if we were at a wedding, if we were in a social circle setting, I would actually prefer to start off indirect, because then there's no rush for me to get to the point and I can work my way into the interaction and sprinkle in some teasing and flirting slowly. But again, the mistake that men make is they never get to the point when it's an indirect interaction. And so my advice would be start indirect if it makes sense, but very quickly you want to at least bring the conversation to being about the girl rather quickly. If somehow you're talking about the weather, you want to bring it to being about her. So maybe from nice weather to she doesn't have a tan yet, or she got a tan, she must have traveled somewhere, or she must have a very exotic or ethnic background, right? Because she has like olive skin. That's like one transition. Or it could be the opposite. She's like completely pale and she doesn't have it. She needs to travel, and she must just be like white. Regardless of what the initial topic is, you just want to find a way to bring it back to being about the girl. And then once you're talking about the girl, you could then make a small pivot into teasing or flirting. And I'll show you guys an interaction here where I opened asking about this clothing store. Is this like a one-off like clothing shop thingy, or what is this? No, I know, I was just walking by. But you guys seem like you're avid fashion shoppers, or no?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, your face like lit up. Just like, that's me.
Yeah.
So I went from talking about the clothing store and then transitioned into talking about the girl. You're Middle Eastern? Oh shit, I thought you were like Colombian or some shit. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Yeah. I was literally walking by. I was like, oh, she seems cute and Latina, honestly. And then I went from talking about the girl to turning that into a tease or a little bit of a flirty line where I displayed slight interest, and that actually went into a full-blown interaction. And so that's an easy structure you could do for an indirect open. Now, each one of these opens can work depending on the situation. Now, once you get into the interaction itself, the next thing you're going to need to do is get really good at your conversation skills. You got to be able to conversate in a way that captivates the girl's attention, makes it a little bit teasy, a little bit flirty, and ultimately creates a man-to-woman dynamic. And so the next thing you're going to need to do is watch this video here if you really want to get good with those skills, or if you want to fast track this entire process, if you've watched enough videos already and you still don't have the result, click the link down below for an opportunity to work with me directly. Watching videos is great, but if your life isn't actually transforming, you need actual coaching, all right? And I'd love to help you make that transformation, man. Summer's right around the corner. It is prime time to level up this area of your life. Click the link down below. That's all for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.